The moment Lisa opened that message, something in her stomach dropped. At first it looked like nothing, just another late-night text between Daniel and someone saved in his phone as uncle. But the more she scrolled, the stranger it became. Mentions of money, transfers, deadlines, and one sentence that would soon explode into one of the most shocking controversies fans of reality TV had seen in years: make sure everything is moved before she finds out. For Lisa, that message felt like a trapdoor opening beneath her entire relationship. Before we dive deeper into this unbelievable story, take a second to subscribe to Talent Zone updates and turn on notifications, because stories like this prove that sometimes reality TV drama is far stranger than fiction.
Don't forget to subscribe for more tea. Now let's get back to the drama.
Just weeks earlier, Lisa believed she was living the dream that millions of viewers had watched unfold on screen. Like many couples featured on international relationship shows, her love story with Daniel had started online. Messages turned into late-night video calls turned into long emotional conversations about life, family, and a future together. Daniel appeared charming, attentive, and eager to build something real. And when he talked about bringing their lives together across borders, Lisa felt certain she had finally found someone who truly understood her. Friends warned her that long-distance relationships can hide things people don't want you to see. But love has a way of making doubts feel small. Daniel had introduced Lisa to his family through video calls, including the uncle who seemed deeply involved in Daniel's life and finances. The older man spoke confidently about responsibility, loyalty, and helping younger relatives succeed. To Lisa, he seemed like the kind of family member who simply wanted the best for Daniel. Looking back, that introduction would later feel like the first clue everyone missed. At first, everything followed the familiar pattern viewers had seen many times before. Emotional airport reunions, conversations about cultural differences, talks about marriage plans, visas, and building a life together in the United States. But behind the scenes, small things didn't always add up. Daniel occasionally mentioned financial struggles. He talked about business opportunities that required temporary help. Sometimes he said his uncle was helping manage certain financial matters while he focused on their future together. Lisa wanted to believe him. After all, relationships often involve helping each other through difficult moments. So when Daniel mentioned that he might need support while he arranged certain documents and obligations, Lisa tried to be understanding. She didn't see it as a red flag. She saw it as two people investing in their future. At least, that's what she believed. Then came the moment that changed everything. Late one evening, Lisa noticed Daniel acting strangely protective of his phone. It was a small thing. A quick movement to flip the screen face down. A nervous laugh when a notification popped up. Those moments might seem harmless in isolation. But when they repeat enough times, they begin to whisper questions you can't ignore. When Daniel stepped out of the room briefly, Lisa's curiosity finally overcame her hesitation. She glanced at the phone. What she saw in those messages would soon trigger a chain reaction no one expected. The texts between Daniel and his uncle didn't sound like ordinary family conversations. They discussed numbers, specific amounts, references to accounts being moved and documents being ready. And then there was that message. Make sure everything is moved before she finds out. Lisa read it again, and again. Her heart started racing. Was this about business? Was it about family property? Or was it something connected to her? For a moment, she tried to convince herself she was overthinking things. Relationships are built on trust, and maybe she was seeing danger where none existed. But once suspicion takes root, it spreads quickly. Lisa started reviewing older conversations. Dates, mentions of money, timing that seemed to align with moments when Daniel had asked her for financial help. Suddenly the puzzle pieces began forming a picture she didn't want to believe. When Daniel returned to the room, Lisa didn't hide what she had seen. She confronted him directly. At first, Daniel looked confused. Then defensive. He insisted the messages were misunderstood. According to him, the transfers mentioned in the conversation had nothing to do with Lisa. They were part of a family arrangement involving property and debts. His uncle, he explained, handled many of the financial responsibilities for the family. The messages might look suspicious without context, but they weren't what Lisa thought. But the explanation didn't calm her fears. Instead, it raised even more questions. Why would Daniel need money from Lisa if his family was managing financial assets behind the scenes? Why did the messages sound like something that needed to be hidden? The conversation quickly escalated. Voices grew louder. Accusations flew back and forth. Daniel insisted Lisa didn't trust him. Lisa argued that trust requires honesty. Soon the uncle himself was pulled into the argument through a phone call that only deepened the confusion. He defended the financial discussions as normal family matters and accused Lisa of misinterpreting private conversations. But by that point, the situation had already spiraled beyond a simple relationship dispute. Because Lisa had done something else before confronting Daniel. Something that would push the story into an entirely different direction. After reading those messages, Lisa had taken screenshots. And she had shared them. At first, she sent them to a close friend for advice. The friend immediately noticed the same strange details Lisa had seen. References to moving funds quickly, mentions of accounts, and the urgency in the tone of the conversation. That friend urged Lisa to be careful. But once the argument with Daniel exploded, the situation escalated further. According to accounts later discussed among fans and commentators, concerns about potential financial manipulation eventually reached authorities who decided to take a closer look at the situation. What began as a personal conflict inside a relationship suddenly attracted legal attention. And that's when things became truly surreal. Reports began circulating that investigators wanted to speak with Daniel and his uncle about the financial discussions that had triggered Lisa's alarm. At first, many fans thought it was simply another exaggerated reality TV rumor. After all, the internet often transforms small misunderstandings into dramatic conspiracies. But then came the moment that stunned everyone following the story. Daniel and his uncle were reportedly taken into custody for questioning while authorities examined whether the financial conversations involved any wrongdoing. The news spread rapidly through online communities that follow reality television. Some viewers believed Lisa had uncovered something serious. Others argued the entire situation was a misunderstanding fueled by suspicion and cultural differences about finances. The truth was far less clear than the headlines suggested. Investigations often involve questioning people without immediately proving guilt. Being taken into custody for questioning does not automatically mean someone committed a crime. But the damage to the relationship had already been done. Lisa felt betrayed by the secrecy surrounding the financial conversations. Daniel felt humiliated by the public suspicion surrounding his family. And fans watching from the outside found themselves divided into two completely different camps. One side believed Lisa had bravely exposed something suspicious before it could escalate further. They argued that the messages sounded too deliberate to be innocent. The other side believed Daniel had been unfairly judged based on fragments of conversations taken out of context. As more discussions surfaced online, the story grew even more complicated. Some people pointed out that financial arrangements involving extended family members are common in many cultures, especially when relatives share responsibilities for property or businesses. Others argued that secrecy combined with requests for money from a romantic partner is exactly the kind of pattern experts often warn about in international relationship scams. Both interpretations seemed possible, and that uncertainty kept the story alive. But the biggest twist came later, when new details began circulating among those closely following the case. According to discussions that emerged afterward, investigators reportedly focused on determining whether the financial transfers mentioned in the messages were actually connected to Lisa at all. Because there was a possibility that changed everything. What if the messages had never been about her? What if the transfers Daniel and his uncle discussed were part of something completely unrelated, a family financial restructuring that simply looked suspicious when viewed without context? If that turned out to be true, the entire situation might have been a tragic misunderstanding fueled by fear, mistrust, and the intense pressure of living a relationship in front of cameras and millions of viewers. But if the investigation uncovered something different, then Lisa's suspicions might have exposed a deeper problem hiding beneath the surface of a televised love story. Either way, the moment Lisa read that message changed everything. A single sentence, a single glance at a phone screen. That was all it took for a romance that once seemed hopeful to unravel into one of the most talked about controversies surrounding the show. And even now, long after the arguments, the questions, and the headlines, the debate still lingers among viewers. Was Lisa protecting herself from a potential financial trap? Or did suspicion destroy a relationship that might have survived if trust had been stronger? Sometimes the most dramatic moments in reality television aren't scripted twists or explosive confrontations. Sometimes they're quiet discoveries, a message, a secret, a moment of doubt that spreads until everything collapses. And in Lisa and Daniel's story, one unanswered question continues to echo long after the cameras stopped rolling. When love crosses borders, cultures, and expectations, how do you know whether you're building a future together, or stepping into a situation you never fully understood?
What do you think? Comment below. Thanks for watching and I will see you in the next one.